Okay, so now that we have the knowledge of connecting pores, we are gonna be combining that and we're gonna just create some of the wrinkles and start a little bit of sculpting. So as you can see in this particular area, we have a wrinkle, right? And the best way of creating that particular wrinkle is to actually use that knowledge that we have of connecting pores and then just creating the wrinkles. So now that we have basically abandoned the connection for kind of the workflow, what we are gonna do, we are gonna be using that knowledge. And before we do that, you can see that the brush is actually kind of hard. So I am going to just increase the tip roundness to make it a bit smoother. So if you were to just go into the brushes section and tip roundness is basically that setting, you can actually get a little bit of smoother result. In my case, I think I've used. Am I going to use the point 8 or just the one? I mean, the one is going to be the smoothest, obviously. So it is like totally up to you. And the strength is going to be pretty low. The reason is whenever you have a lower strength, you basically get much more control over your shapes, over your volumes. So this is actually the reason that I have that low of a volume and. This is basically what I'm gonna try to create. So you can like see I have so much less of strength and now I'm just connect I'm just filling up the volume. So we've already connected the pores in this particular area. Even if you have not connected the pores, it's okay. Once we'll go into the skin section, we are gonna enhance all these wrinkles. So yeah, right now we are actually using the previous knowledge of connecting the pores, and now we are just adding these wrinkles like we can see in the reference. So yeah, right now you can see we are slightly like slowly adding the volumes. I really hope that you can see it. By the way, you can definitely see that in this particular example because the strength is a bit low. You might not be able to see it. And also, there is this weird thing with the OBS. It does not record the sculpting itself. Like it actually pose the cursor. Like you can see, the cursor is pose, and it basically just stop recording the cursor, the movement of cursor with the sculpt. I'm gonna have to look into this. So for the next course, I am gonna make sure that I actually found the solution for that. Find the solution for that. Okay. So yeah, right now you can see I'm not really caring about the pores because I can add the pores a bit later. Like these are like 7 or 8 pores in this particular area. So if I were to just destroy 7 or 8, it's not really gonna be that big of a deal. Okay, so let's see wherever we have volumes now. It is time to basically create that. And as you can see, there's this line in between that I'm adding right now, and actually, I'm not really focusing on this line to be 100% accurate. I just am adding this line. And these smaller things, you don't really need to be like super precise unless you are going for 100% accuracy, which is actually quite hard to do. So it is totally up to you, by the way. In my opinion, the likeness actually comes from the bigger shapes, like your primary shapes and your secondary shapes. But if you really feel like that you want to go for the tertiary shapes as well, you definitely can do it. In my case, the images were not high res enough that I was able to figure out how the skin is basically working. So I just basically did the guesswork in all of the skin thing. Actually, in the tertiary shapes, I basically did the guesswork. So yeah, that's basically what it is. As you can see that I am basically trying to figure out how the wrinkles are breaking up, right? You can see all these things that I'm trying to break up are basically from the references, but yes, they are still not like 100% visible. And as you can see that I am basically trying to break up these straighter lines. So yeah, I am like still trying to break up these so that it would be much more closer with the likeness. But again, I've told you the bigger shape actually contribute to the likeness a bit more than these smaller shapes. And if you are working in the production, by the way, you are going to get all this stuff for free. So Tertiary shapes, I think, I mean, maybe if you have an image which basically shows you the skin itself, like image that is high resolution enough and you can see all the skin details, maybe it is a good idea to like go for it. But in my case, the images are not really that high resolution enough. But yes, you can see that I am not really using the clay strip. I have switched to the draw brush, and with that I am adding or removing the volume. Also using the draw sharp brush, again trying to connect the pores so that all these directionality, all these wrinkles basically makes sense, because that's how the wrinkles form. Even the wrinkles, you're gonna see, if you were to just look at the reference, you're gonna see that the wrinkles that actually forms on the human skin, they also, connect with the pores. So that's actually one of those things that I'm trying to do. And yeah, now I think, okay, so I have removed this volume, which I feel like that I have not done in the correct way. So I am just gonna do the undo here. And yeah, this is one of those things that I feel like you already know that I am gonna do the undo. So why I'm doing this? And that's why I feel like it is so weird to commentate on something like this, like I'm doing an undo. And yeah. Okay, so now this is basically what I'm trying to create, and I'm looking at the reference and trying to connect the pores in a way that it basically looks similar to our reference. And as you can see, some of the pores are not actually matching, and it is not like 100% accurate, but it's totally fine for me. I feel like that matching the pores are a bit more important in this case, because that's how you're gonna make the skin look a bit more natural. And yeah, this is okay. So I am gonna go back to the third subdivision because I actually wanna create some of the bigger changes in the shape without having to destroy the pores. Even though you could have actually just used the draw brush, I am not really that comfortable with the draw brush, even with the lower strength. So I just have switched to the clay strip brush to add or remove some of the volumes, as you can see. And as you can see, this basically this sharper area, this is what I'm trying to create in this particular part. So yeah, we'll see. As you can see, I can actually also smooth some of this stuff out without having to destroy the pores. uh, if you are doing something like this, try to make sure that the strength of your smooth brush is actually pretty low, otherwise you're actually going to just destroy a whole lot of stuff. And yeah, when you basically start adding these details, you start to lower down your brushes strength. So the strength of your smooth brush is gonna be low, the strength of your clay strip, if you are using the clay strip, is gonna be low, and also the draw brush is gonna be low. At least that's how I like to work. Maybe you can experiment on your own which settings basically work for you. But yes, I usually tend to lower down the strength whenever I go up in the details. And as you can see, I am like trying to create some randomness in this particular part because I feel like this is not as sharp as I've made in the sculpt. So I am like trying to remove some of this sharpness over there. And yeah, this, okay. So again, I am like trying to change the image. So I think this is time that we start working on this particular area. And I can actually remove some of the volumes because as you can see, the left part of this volume is actually a bit above than the right part. So that is basically what I'm gonna try to create in this one. Try to, okay. Okay, I think I'm gonna work on this particular part now, and there are some shapes that needs to be broken up. So I think I'm gonna do that. Is it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can see that I'm basically marking these volumes now, and yeah, that's just how I like to work. Obviously, you can experiment. I've said so many of sentences, and I'm keep repeating those. But yeah, you can see that I mark first, and then I start to remove or add the volume. In this case, I am actually removing a little bit of volume from the edges and then adding a little bit of volume in the middle. So That's how I'm working with this. And also you can see that there is this line which is basically creating an A kind of a shape, the alphabet A. So I am also trying to add those. Uh, yeah, you can see how this shape is basically looking. And yes, this is what I'm like trying to figure out now, trying to add as many of these as shapes as I possibly can, all these secondary and tertiary shapes. Right now, I'm in the third subdivision, and that's why I can actually use the clay strip brush because I know that pores are gonna stay and they are not really gonna get destroyed. Now you can see that I'm actually adding this middle, like convex kind of a shape. You can see that I've added this vertical line, and now I'm just gonna start adding the volumes that I'm seeing on the forehead to basically look like what we have in the reference. Okay. Again, the lips and the eyes, we are going to be doing the lips and the eyes in the separate video. So right now, all of the things that you are seeing in the eye socket actually, and in the lips, we are not really going to touch that. In this video, there are going to be separate videos for that. So yes, it's just in case if you are wondering. So, okay, again, I'm back to the wrinkles and you can see that I'm still like trying to connect the pores and start adding the volumes in between. This is gonna be the workflow basically. And yeah, like you can clearly see how we can like use the reference and also try to connect the pores and start adding these volumes. So I am gonna go back to the third subdivision to actually add this particular volume that you can see in the reference. And yeah, uh, like some of this stuff again, pretty self-explanatory. So I don't really feel like that I need to actually give any of the details. Like you can see how I'm adding these volumes, and yeah, once I'm in the highest subdivision, I actually start to use the draw brush. As you can see, maybe I'm using the clay brush in this area because I feel like that there are only like 7 or 8 pores, and I can just add them a bit later. But yes, it is totally up to you. It is totally up to the situation, whichever brush you wanna use. If you are comfortable with clay strip brush a bit more, maybe go back down a subdivision or two. In my case, I actually just go down 3 subdivisions, and then I can use the clay strip brush without having to think about losing the pores. So in this case, as you can see, I am breaking up the wrinkles by also connecting the pores. So I'm like keep on saying connecting the pores because it is kind of important to do to make the skin look nicer. And yeah, that's why whenever I'm like creating a wrinkle, I'm also trying to make sure that I basically connect the pores as well. In this case, you can see that the lines that I'm creating are going through the pores as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop saying connecting the pores in the future. Just like remember why I'm saying it, okay? So as you can see in this particular part, the volumes are not as much. So I think I'm not really gonna be adding a huge amount of volumes like I've added in the above wrinkles. But yes, I need to like flatten this part out because there was some concave shape in that particular area, so I need to fill that part up. And yeah, now I'm just like connecting the pores in the direction to give the directionality of the wrinkles. This is also one of those things wherever there are wrinkles, you need to make sure that the skin actually stretches in flow with the wrinkles. So yeah, if the wrinkles are going horizontally, in this case they are, you need to make sure that the pores are also connected horizontally. So now we are on the other side. I think I could speed this part up, or maybe I think that you don't really need the commentary because I'm literally gonna do the same thing. But yeah, let's actually see. As you can see that I'm like still marking these particular parts as I'm seeing in the reference. So okay. Also, I'm trying to break up the previous wrinkles that we have on our eyes. So yeah, the wrinkles on the upper eyelid basically. So I'm breaking up these wrinkles and also I'm creating the new one. Again, trying to connect the pores. As you can see, most of the pores are being connected while I'm creating these. And that's just what the workflow is for the skin. Which means we are actually doing the skin and the wrinkles simultaneously. These goes, both of these things kind of go alone, not alone, but along. Okay. So yeah, trying to go back the subdivision. In this case, I've gone back to the fourth subdivision and start adding the volumes. If you want to, you can obviously just use the draw brush in the highest subdivision. But in this case, as you can see, this is just the workflow that I am using. And sometimes I also just use the draw brush. So it is totally up to you. Whichever workflow you like better, you can just use it, either the draw brush or the clay strip brush. And that's just how I like to add the wrinkles. In this particular area, the wrinkles are not as a spherical. Like the volumes are not spherical, they are actually still kind of flatty. So I'm not really adding that much amount of volume, as you can see. And yeah, again trying to add the volumes and connect all this stuff. This part I am trying to break up a little bit of wrinkles and create a little bit of variation. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay. Again, this is basically the same thing that we've did on the other side. So I really am like getting a bit confused. My brain is literally empty right now. Like, what am I supposed to commentate on this? So you're gonna realize that I have actually destroyed some of the pores, but I am gonna be adding these in the future. So yes, it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, these are like literally 20 or 50, like 20 or 30 pores, not 50. Even though if they were 50, it's not really that big of a deal. I could have just added the 50 pores again. I mean, adding 50 pores is literally gonna take a minute, I think. So I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Okay, now I've actually sped up the clip a bit, as you can see. And yeah, I think I'm just like trying to do the same thing that I've did on the other side. So it's not something like useful. Actually, it is. It's just that I'm showing you the same thing two times. So yep. Okay. So again, I am actually out of words, and yeah, literally have no idea what to say. So I think you and me are just going to watch this like together. And if something important were to come, like for example, right now I'm talking about this volume. As you can see, that this volume is supposed to be a bit different. So I think we actually got something to say, and that's what I'm trying to add. Like you can see what kind of volume I'm trying to add right now, and if you can see, I am using the draw sharp brush with pretty low strength and pretty low hand pressure, just so that I can actually add these volumes precisely. In this case, I can remove the volumes precisely, but you get the idea. Again, try to make sure that the strength of your brush is not high. Otherwise, you actually lose control, a little bit of control over your volumes. Uh, After you are done with the details, like after you are done with the pores, you need to make sure that whenever you are using your brush, you don't really have to use the smooth brush afterward. So whenever you are actually sculpting, adding volumes or removing volumes, try to have low brush strength so that after a session of sculpt, you don't actually have to use the smooth brush. Otherwise, the details underneath might actually suffer. So that's one of those tips. I mean, in the end, you can obviously just experiment on your own, but that's just my personal like tip for you. Like make sure that the strength is low enough that you don't have to use the smooth afterward. So you can see that I'm not really using the smooth, and even if I'm using the smooth, I am like making sure that it just does not destroy what's beneath. So yeah, this is one of those things that I actually want you to try as well. Okay, so I've like switched the focus to the eye socket, eye bags, as you can see. And okay, so as you can see, there are these lines that are coming out, and that's what I'm trying to create. There is like breakup in this particular what do you call it? I have no idea what even it is, but you get the idea. Like there is a breakup in this particular volume, and I am trying to create that breakup. The weird thing is, from different angles, it literally start to look like a different thing. Like this is actually so weird, and that's why it was actually pretty hard to get the likeness of this particular thing, because from above the volume was looking a bit too much, and from the side it looks kind of flatty. So it was kind of hard to figure out which one I need to, rely on a bit more. So yeah, one of the cool thing is that all these smaller shapes does not really contribute to the likeness as much. So that is something that I knew. So I really didn't really had to worry about this. And I've just am making the shape like I'm seeing right now. So again, this is at 52 million, by the way. We are at the highest subdivision. And one of the coolest thing is everything is basically working pretty smoothly, even without hiding anything. So if you are using your brush normally, like I'm doing right now, Blender can actually give you the performance. Like you can see the amount of performance. There is no lag. And that I think is one of the coolest thing about Blender nowadays. They've actually increased the performance so much that you can actually work on a 52 million polygon mesh without having to hide anything, and it would just work. It would just work pretty fine. So yeah, now I've switched to nose. This is something that I actually do a lot. I basically just jump from one place to another, and I basically try to make sure that each and every part of the face are at the equal level of details. You don't really want to make sure, you don't really want to like complete one part and then, let others look like a complete potato. So try to make sure that you have equal amount of details or equal amount of finish to every part. And that's what I'm doing. The nose was a little bit off, so I am like kind of fixing it now. And you can see the silhouette. I am gonna be trying to fix the silhouette now. You can see this part is actually gonna be a bit sharper, and by sharp I meant to say the what do you even call it, this particular arc is basically what I'm looking at right now. Okay, so again, now I think I'm gonna work on the likeness of the nose a bit more. And yeah, you can see that I am basically trying to figure out the silhouette of the nose on the left part, by the way, not on the right. I think I'm actually gonna switch to the right now, I think. And as you can see, Blender, it is actually so weird. Like changing the image is what taking time. This is actually so weird because we are working on a 52 million mesh and the sculpting is smooth, but like changing the reference on the image editor is what taking is what taking its time. Like Blender is like such a weird software. But yeah, I mean it works, so I'm not really gonna complain. I can actually wait for like 2 or 3 seconds for the image to load, but yeah, as you can see, again I am like drawing another face set. I'm doing the same thing, just painting a little bit of face set and then spreading this particular area so that I can actually work on the lip. And don't worry, I'm not really gonna start sculpting all the details. There is gonna be a separate video. I'm just like trying to fix all these bigger shapes. So these lines that we have created previously, I need to like fill this up. And I think that's what I'm gonna do right now. Or maybe not. We'll see if that's what I'm doing. I think it's better to just use the clay strip brush. In this case, I'm using the clay brush, maybe because the clay brush is a bit smoother. So that's why I'm using it. Obviously, in this particular area, you can use the smooth because there is no detail underneath. So yeah, I think that's what I'm doing right now. Also, if you want to, you can actually just fix some of the volumes, because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm fixing some of the volumes. So before obviously starting the details on the lips, you need to make sure that the volumes are correct. Otherwise, your details are gonna be on the incorrect volumes, and that's gonna make the lip look a bit weird. So because he didn't had this line, I had to remove it, and I am actually adding this border on the edges because some of the people does have this particular area. In this case, I cannot judge whether he have it or not, but because I think it kind of looks cool, so I am just adding it. And in this particular case, I am using the draw brush so that I basically don't, mess up any of the detail. And it is kind of important to know when you need to use the draw brush and when you need to switch to clay strip brush. So if I have any details beneath, I am going to be using the draw brush. And if I don't have any of the details beneath, like right now, I don't have any details beneath, I can actually use the clay strip brush in this particular area. So, yep, that's basically what I'm doing. And I'm fixing the volume on the lips so that I can actually start working on the details. And I cannot remember, but I think that's what we are gonna be doing the next. As you can see that I've started sculpting some of the lip, and this video is about to end as well. So I think lip is the next thing that we're gonna do. So yeah, let's see.